morning, everyone. It's so good to see you. Rustic, hello. Mike, Mode, Rod, Shelley. I did walk the AT-AT today. Thank you, actually, for sending me all those wonderful tweets yesterday, folks, of all of your work. It was so awesome to not only see all of your participation and entries in the Discord, but also sharing them on Instagram and Twitter and other social media. It was super cool. For those of you folks who might be new today, let me introduce myself. I am your host for the Daily Creative Challenge, VooDoo Val. I've been here a few times for hosting and whatnot, and if I'm not hosting, I'm usually in the chat, making sure everyone stays in line. But today I get to be here to do all these awesome challenges. I've been here for a couple of weeks now. Alex Lazarus is in the house. Hello, Alex. You folks probably recognize him as one of our guests from last week. It's good to see you, man. But yeah, this is going to be super awesome. I'm very excited about today's challenge because all of our challenges last week and all of our challenges thus far this week have been sort of little one-shots, little quick 30-minute tips that you guys can employ while doing your own social media branding. But this challenge, as well as tomorrow's challenge, kind of go hand in hand. It's like a two-part sort of challenge that we've got going on today. And I'm super pumped to get into it, but before we do that, I'm going to jump over to behance.net/daily creative challenge so you folks can see how you can also join me. Many of you have already registered, and you folks have already been participating in the Discord, but if you haven't, definitely jump over to this page, join the conversation here, get feedback on your work, and scroll down here and check out all the challenges that we've been doing, as well as tune in every morning for the new challenges to be revealed. You guys can come in here and kind of get a little brief description of what we're going to be working on every day, as well as download any assets that I have for you if the challenge calls for it. Today, there is actually a little template that you folks can pick up and noodle around with, or you can start from scratch. I'm going to be doing a few different iterations of the challenge today, which is creating project titles for your Behance projects. We're going to be employing some of the tools and tricks that we've used in the previous challenges, as well as add a little bit of spice in there and prepare for an extra bit of pizzazz for tomorrow, which I'm super excited about. But if you haven't already, definitely scroll down to the very bottom and click on the Join Our Community on Discord button. It will take you to our awesome Discord where you folks can be posting all of your challenges that you create with me each day. You can get feedback from me. You can get feedback from our wonderful moderators and mentors like Sam and Kathleen and Gus. And you can also just kind of chat and hang around with other people from the Daily Creative Challenge, other people from Adobe Live, and chat with them, make friends, and share your experience and your advice. So definitely jump in there. You guys can introduce yourselves in the introduction channel, and you can also jump into the chat where you guys can just hang out. And then, as I said, design feedback is where you would post your awesome entries. But without further ado, we are actually going to jump into our challenge for the day, which I'm super excited about. Let me real quick see about turning on. Do you want to? Yeah. You want to? You want to do this for me? Thank you. Perfect. All right. So we got our keycaster up here so that you guys can see the hotkeys that I'm pressing while we go through this challenge. All right. So this is the challenge template that I have provided for you folks. You guys can start with this template, or you can jump up here to the File tab and select New, or open an existing document if you have a document that you'd like to work within. And you folks can select a custom or preset file from this menu here, or you can type in your own specifications and ratio orientation and things over here in the preset details and stuff, and create your own piece. I'm going to close that though because I am going to work within the template for those of you who have downloaded it. And basically what we're going to be doing, I guess at the core of today's challenge, is we're going to be using clipping masks to create and sort of decorate some awesome titles for your Behance projects. I today am actually going to be making stylized headers for all of the different challenges within my Creative Challenge Behance project, which I'm super excited about. And I actually encourage all of you guys, if you don't have a specific project to make a title for today, choose one of the previous challenges, make something themed off that, and add it to your Behance project. I'm going to be making one for the very first challenge we did, which was the frame tool challenge. But before I get into stylizing that, I'm going to run through sort of what we have available for you here. I have our instructions, which just says choose a pattern or select a pattern from the Halftones group, which I have here. I've got like 3 different little halftone textures in here for you folks to use. If you don't have any textures for this chosen. And basically what you do in order to apply a clipping mask is to grab one of these. We'll grab this purple one because you guys know I love purple. And you want to drag this up to the layer just above your text. And then sort of like we did yesterday and a few of the other challenge days is you want to right click this and you want to make sure you go to create clipping mask. And basically what that does is it adds whatever layer you're working with inside of the boundary of whatever layer is directly below that. And it doesn't have to be a text layer. It can be a shape or whatever it is that you have underneath there, which is pretty fabulous. And you can do a lot of really interesting effects and things with this, as we are going to get into. I also have a little optional note here at the bottom where it says that you can add a stroke to your text in order to make things pop just a little bit, which we will do right here. Remember, if you right-click your layer, or double-click your layer, excuse me, it will open up the layer style panel where you can go through, and you guys can actually experiment with a lot of these different awesome settings, the bevel and emboss, stroke, inner shadow, inner glow, satin, color overlay, all kinds of stuff. But we're going to jump into stroke real quick, and we're going to make sure we're applying this to the outside of our text so that the clipping mask that we've added to it doesn't actually interact with it. And I'm going to kind of crank up the stroke there, and I'm going to turn it just to a darker color so it's more obvious. Just to give you an idea of how that can be applied. And there you go. So that's just kind of like a quick and easy version of how this can be done. But now we're gonna kind of jump into a more stylized piece. Now you folks can decorate your text and leave your background totally transparent so that you are just uploading like a PNG transparent file of your title without any background, so it just looks very bold and awesome at the top of your project. Or you can do what I'm gonna do today, and that is use some cool textures to decorate our text, but also create a really fantastic background. So it's more of a banner title for our project rather than just a stylized font. So this is how I am going to do it. If you would like to create your own halftones along with me, because maybe you don't prefer the ones that have been supplied for you in this file, I'm going to show you how to do those because maybe you'd like to experiment with that and use that as your texture. And it's actually really easy to do. If you come up above, I'm going to make a new layer here and I'm going to call this halftone. And then I'm just going to grab a brush, boom, like this. Actually, first I'm gonna kind of paint bucket some color in here. I'm going to grab like a pinkish purpley color real quick, like this, and I'm going to dump that in there, and then I'm going to hit B for brush. And I am going to change this to, let's go maybe a lighter color. Now we'll go darker just so everything is bold and kind of contrasty here. And I'm gonna kind of put in a color here and a color here. It's very similar to how I made the ones for you guys, but you can put in any colors you want, anywhere you want to create your own textures. And I'm gonna go up here to filter, and I'm gonna go to pixelate, and then I'm gonna go to color halftone. And I'm gonna make sure that you have changed all of your channels to 0 if you want it to sort of turn out the way that I am doing mine. But feel free to experiment however you like. And I'm gonna leave the max radius at 10 here, and I'm gonna go ahead and click OK. And it gives you a cool halftone color. Basically, when you mess with that that number there, I'm gonna pull this up again just so you guys can look at it while I'm explaining. When you mess with this max radius, the lower the number is, dictates how large the circles are going to be. So if we change that up to like a 30, it's going to be a little bit larger. Yeah, you folks can experiment with that if you want to change and use your own pre-made textures. I personally am going to go with some cool marble textures. I've been in love with marble textures lately, so that's what I'm gonna add. And I'm gonna put a texture in the background here, just to give us a little bit of style. And I found all of my textures that I've been using throughout the week and last week on Adobe stock. If you folks are unfamiliar, definitely head over. Let me pull this up real quick so you can see it. If you go to, just type it in here, Adobe stock photos, you can select this, and it'll bring you in here where you can type in whatever you want. If you want marble textures like mine, you can just say marble texture. And you'll be able to search around here for some awesome ones. You might recognize some that I've been using through the week. You guys can see the little licensed flag on the ones that I have snagged for myself. And you can click on them and you can actually save them directly to your Photoshop libraries, your Creative Cloud library, so that you can just select them right within your program. But I'm gonna pull Photoshop back up and we are going to create this awesome title. So I've got this background back here, and I'm going to change the actual title to Frame Tool, because that was the main focus of our first challenge. And I'm actually going to put this in caps, Frame Tool. And I am going to actually select this and change the spacing. If you'd like to change the spacing or alter and edit your font in any way, I highly recommend doing it through the character window. If you don't have the character window up in your workspace, by default, you can go up to window and just select character from all of the many awesome windows that is provided within Photoshop. And you can even bring this over here until your sidebar here is highlighted blue and just drop the character window right into your workspace. So I'm going to open this, and with this selected, I'm actually going to come in here and I am going to pull the spacing in like so. I like that. That looks pretty good. And then what I'm going to do is because this is about the frame tool, I'm going to reuse our frame tool knowledge that we jumped into at the beginning of the week. And I'm going to add some frames in the back here just to kind of give our text a background. So I'm going to select the frame tool, and I'm actually going to use the elliptical frame here, and I'm gonna drag this out, and I'm gonna hold shift just to make sure that it is actually I'm gonna delete our halftones and everything here because I don't need that. All right, and I'm gonna make a new layer, and I'm gonna call this circle frame. And if you want to know the hotkey for creating a new layer, you can just do Command-Shift-N, which will do that for you. And I'm going to drag this frame out, holding Shift, like so. And then I'm going to drag the frame out like that. And I'm going to come here to this cool black marble texture, and I'm going to drag that in there. And I do actually want to edit that because I want to make sure that I'm going to put a few of these in the back of our text here. And I want them all to look a little bit different. So I'm going to kind of make this a little larger, and I'm gonna rotate it around so that all of them are a bit different. That one looks pretty good. And I'm gonna select our layer here, and I'm gonna do Command J to duplicate that. And then I'm going to Command T to transform, and I'm gonna actually bump this over like so. And I think I'm even going to move this first one out a little bit. I'm gonna select that one again, free transform, and I'm going to hold shift and bump it out like that. And then maybe I'll bring this one in again here, the second one, like so. And I'm gonna select the image of our frame here, and I'm going to free transform. I'm gonna rotate it and move it around just to give it a different texture than the last one. And I think I'm actually gonna select both of these, and I'm gonna group them, and then I'm going to Command J on that group to duplicate both of them. And then I'm gonna Command T, and I'm gonna drag both of those out. So we have kind of an interesting little frame thing going on here. And I'm gonna group all of those now together, and I'm gonna rename this group Circle Frames. And then I'm gonna free transform and kind of center that a little bit better. There we go. And now for our clipping mask, we're gonna I might even make this just a little bit smaller here. We're gonna add some nice marble texture into our frame tool text now, just to kind of bring it all in together. And I'm going to use this nice white marble that I used in some of my previous projects this week. And I'm gonna go ahead and drag and drop this. I don't want it to jump into any of these frames. Some of you using the frame tool may actually have stumbled upon that issue while you were using it, where if you drag an image over the top, it might actually have jumped itself into one of the frames. And you can curb that by actually just coming over to your layer panel here and just dropping it where you'd like for it to be. So now that I have that in there, I'm going to go ahead and resize this. And remember, if you hold Alt, it will resize from all angles instead of just resizing one size and then having to come over to the other corner and resize it, which is very convenient. So I'm gonna go like that. And then I'm going to do our little clipping mask trick here. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna say create clipping mask. And it should jump it right there into our frame tool text. And I think this looks pretty cool. I'm kind of a fan of the juxtaposition of like dark marble and light marble. I think it looks really classy and fun. So I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm gonna actually select the white marble, the text, and the circle frames, and I'm going to Command T and bump it upwards just a little bit so it's kind of centered on our nifty background here. And I might actually even bring the edges in like so that there's a little bit of that white background showing. And there we go. So I'm gonna save this one, and then I'm also gonna show you how to save it just in case you folks are actually more wanting to create a title for your Behance project that doesn't have all of the background. I wanted to make sure I did a few of these differently. So we're gonna save this, and I'm gonna say Command Shift S for save as, and I'm gonna navigate to my folder that I've been using here, and I'm gonna call this Frame Tool Title. So what I'm gonna go for, Frame Tool Title. And then I'm also gonna do Command Shift S again, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm saving this as a JPEG, like so. We're gonna go ahead and say save. And then just in case I only wanted the cool frame tool text, what I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna unlock that background. I'm gonna group everything underneath it just for organization's sake, and I'm gonna hide that, and that will give us that transparent background. I'm going to add a nice stroke around it just so that it's easily visible, because many of us use the default white background for our Behance projects, and I want to make sure that this is visible against that. So I'm going to turn this to like a nice kind of a charcoaly gray color, and I'm going to turn the size of our stroke down just a bit. There we go. That's cool. And then I'm actually going to crop this. So in order to bring up our crop tool, I'm going to hit C, and then I'm going to hold Shift while or Alt while I do this, and kind of bring our edges in like so. And then I'm going to hit Enter, and I'm going to do Command Shift S again, and I'm going to make sure to save this one as a PNG, because I want for that background to be transparent. If you save this as a JPEG, the background will actually be set to white, which you don't want, especially if you are changing the background of your Behance project to some other fantastic color and you don't want there to be a big white box around it. So I'm going to hit PNG. And I'm going to go ahead and save. And then I'm going to pop over here to my Behance, which I'm super excited to be able to upload my title here. There we go. And remember, to edit your previous project, just hover over the little gear here and hit edit. And I am actually going to toss these into our bottom thing here, number 8. I'm going to change this from locked to Behance titles, like so, and I'm going to upload the ones we created. And navigate to these, and I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to hold Shift and also select that, and I'm going to say Open, boom. And then what you can also do is sort of take your any of your titles that you made and put them up at the top of each section if you've organized it like mine, which I will do. I think I'm actually, after the stream, I'll probably go in and make one for each of my projects. And put a little header at the beginning of all of my Behance sections for this. And then also, please don't forget to share it in Discord, because I definitely want to see them. You guys have been killing it. Honestly, I'm so impressed with how many of these awesome challenges you guys have participated in and post your pieces for. I'm gonna go ahead and put the JPEG one in there like that. Let's see, let me grab this one too as well. And yeah, so that's how I create awesome titles for a lot of my personal Behance projects. That actually is an even better example right there of the transparency, that the difference between JPEG and PNG, which is awesome right there. And definitely after you finish this project, make sure to save your document with everything in layers, because we are actually going to pull this exact same challenge up tomorrow, because I'm going to show you some pretty interesting stuff that we can do with it to spice up your project even further, and also to create some super awesome magical promos for your other social media and everything. But yeah, that was pretty fun. I'm glad that you guys have been enjoying all of the challenges thus far, and I can't wait to see what you create. Maybe we can pull up the schedule real quick and kind of go over what we've got coming up for today. We've had a lot of really fantastic people join us this week, but you guys probably were here earlier when we had like a nice UI UX design stream with Meg, and then sandwiched in between there is me with the DCC, as it has been for the last couple weeks, and then actually we have Paul Tranny and Brad coming up next for a creative imagining stream, so definitely stick around for that. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be super fun. They're fantastic gentlemen, and I can't wait to see what they have cooked up for us today. So thank you guys again. I will be joining you for one last challenge tomorrow, and then that will be the closing of our DCC Photoshop challenge for the 2 weeks. It's been a blast, and I will see you soon.